Hello, welcome to Coffee with a Life Coach. Hey, I'm your certified life coach, Brianna, and I want to do this quick YouTube video for life coaching of students. So I haven't done a lot of life coaching of students in my own private practice or here so far, but I think that there are enough parallels that it's worth putting at least one video out, if not a couple that I have brewing in my head. We declared the month of February all about love, and particularly love of ourselves, learning to love ourselves more. And for the students, I think they may have the hardest challenge. As adults, we've been not loving ourselves for many years, but we've almost grown accustomed to it, even though it has its destructive nature. But for students, it's a minute by minute struggle at times for specific ages. And I want to talk a little bit about that. So if you have a parent or friend who put this video in front of you, hello, thank you for joining. I think if you spend just a few minutes, you might be able to learn something that will help you as you head off to school today, or if you're watching in the evening tomorrow, and at least something to keep in mind. So one of the things that really keeps us from being able to love ourselves is the way that we are constantly graded in our school systems. There has to be a way to measure that we're being taught and that we're learning, and so we naturally have a grade assigned to us. But what that can also do is create a sense of failure or a sense of comparison. So if I get an A, then I must be better as a person than someone who got a C or someone who got an F. And if I didn't get an A, if I got a D, then I must not be worthy, I must not be good enough, I must be almost a failure. And while we need a grading system to help indicate and demonstrate our proficiency in school, we sometimes internalize those marks as not being a mark of how much we learned that material or how well we mastered those concepts, and instead believe that that's a grade of us, of you specifically, that you are getting an A, that you as a person are an A or not. So I think when you're starting to feel bad in school when you get a bad mark, I think stop and look at that as a mark of what you were being graded on. That's a grade only applied to the material that you were being tested or measured against. That isn't a grade about you. Some of us learn later in life and aren't the best students. Others are really strong in math but really not great in English. Others are really high functioning across the board but still are such perfectionists and chasing that grade that we struggle if we get an A minus. So I think be aware that the grade isn't about you as a person. It's only about the material against which you're being measured. And then another thing that really will weigh you down in school, and I think all of us adults can relate and go on and on for hours about, is the constant comparison of ourselves to others. We sit in class and we look around to our peers and we see who has what clothes on. We see different body types. We see different ethnicities. We see different measure of status, of who may look rich versus who might look like they don't have very much. Even in schools with school uniforms, there's still ways to determine who or where people fall in overall socioeconomic rankings. And so it's real easy to compare ourselves and try to figure out where do we fit in all of that. And the danger in doing that is that we start to judge people only based off our initial review of them. We don't consider that people have struggles, that our peers are just like us in being in wanting to be the best, in wanting to be popular, in wanting to be accepted, in wanting to learn. And instead we get focused on where we fit and where we feel that sense of belonging. We can be so desperate for that sense of belonging that we often do things that aren't even true to who we are. We believe in acceptance, and we believe in loving everyone and being kind, and then we get caught up in some gossip, or we get caught up in saying something that we don't even really believe in because it makes someone else like us and makes us feel accepted. In the back of our mind, we know we aren't very proud of it, but we still kind of get wrapped up in it. And so those are the things that can bring us down. So when you head off to school today or tomorrow or any day, just remember that those grades you get aren't grading you. You are whole. You are not broken. You may bloom as a student later than other students, but you're merely being measured for the material that was tested. And if you need help on that material, I think first you need to try. You have to struggle. Struggle is where you get growth and you really learn to overcome and push yourself. And then you just ask for help. And then second, when you compare yourself. Comparing yourself really limits who you can be. It limits you to trying to do just enough to fit in. It makes you mold yourself, your actions, your behaviors, your thoughts enough to fit in. And it isn't really allowing you to really form and lead with your best self. So keep those two things in mind if you reach the end of your day and you're feeling kind of down. Maybe look in retrospect, look back at your day and see, did I compare myself? Did I get kind of stuck and hung up in the gossip or trying to be liked? Or was I the student who reached out to those who maybe didn't have anyone or have already been kind of pushed aside by a lot of the cliques in your class? And then make sure again that you realize those grades aren't a grade of you as a person. You are a fantastic person. So have a great day, have a great tomorrow, and we'll be back on another episode with Coffee for Life with a Life Coach.